Hey everyone, I hope you are all well. Welcome back to another Ryanair cabin crew video. This video is going to be about revision study tips while you are on the training course. So now I have heard people saying that this training course is going to be conducted online. I'm not too sure about that. And some people are actually saying that the training course is happening in person, that they're about to go onto the training course in person. Whichever is your situation, hopefully you can find these tips helpful. But I think these would be even more helpful if you are going to be attending the training course in person. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Okay, so the first study tip in order to actually pass these exams is to pay attention in class, as much attention as possible. When I was on the training course, you know, those days were very, very long. I think 9 to 6, sometimes 9 to 5, but mostly it was like 9 to 6, and every moment was jam-packed. I think we had 25 to half an hour break in the morning, and then around lunchtime I think we had either a half an hour or an hour break. I don't actually remember exactly, but we had those two breaks in the day. Sometimes we would get an afternoon break, like 10-15 minutes. Obviously during the day you can pop out to the toilet, but don't really want to be popping out to the toilet and missing what is being said in the presentation or in the class. So I think it's just nice to be able to go to the loos on your break so that you don't miss out on what is being said and you can pay attention. Now, I definitely did struggle with staying awake in the class just because it was so incredibly hot. It was incredibly hot, incredibly warm in that classroom where we were seated. 30 people in that room trying to concentrate, all the doors closed, and sometimes the windows would be closed. It would be hot, I wouldn't say steamy, that's probably overdoing it, but it would be warm, the heating, the radiators on. Occasionally we'd open the window, which was nice because then we could get some fresh air to breathe, and that helped. You know, it was just towards the afternoon, evening, a couple of us did struggle to stay awake because it was so warm in there, and it just gets really comfortable in there in that classroom. So if possible, what I used to do is I just used to sit at the back close to the window, so that when the window was open I would just have a breeze, you know, have a breeze on my back, and it would be cold enough and I just wouldn't feel like sleeping because the day's been so long. The thing is, the days are even longer than a school day would be, you know, it's like 9 to 6 p.m. really long days. And you know, 5 days in a week, sometimes you get, you know, the day off. Obviously you have that swimming test, uniform fitting, you have these different events happening throughout it, but for the most part it's quite, you know, jam-packed days. You can check your schedule if you already have it. You should probably already have it if they've given you a pre-course study pack. My second tip would be to try to take snacks as well, and most importantly stay hydrated and have enough water. I think there might be a fountain at the training centers, so you can fill up water. Try to stay hydrated, and if you need to you can take some snacks. Obviously you can take your lunch. I think what we had was there was a van that used to come every single day around 10 o'clock. Some people used to buy their lunch from there. I just brought my lunch cooked, or maybe brought a sandwich. That was fine for me. You just don't want to get dehydrated, especially if you're in a room that's extremely warm and hot and it's kind of making you feel tired. Yeah, that kind of affected a few of us, so definitely try to stay hydrated. Okay, so my third tip is to study with your course mates. Now, you don't have to study with them every single day, every single evening that you get home, but at least study with them like a little bit before the big test. Study mostly by yourself, but if you can have that time to study with them, to test them on questions, it's gonna make the information stick much better. Like, vocalizing things just kind of makes it more permanent in your mind if you're able to speak things out. I realized the power of that, the power of speaking out and actually saying these words out loud. It just makes it, it just solidifies it. Whereas if you're reading, sometimes something goes in and out and in and out. You have to kind of repeat it a few times. But if you can try to study a little bit with your course mates, at least kind of once a week, an hour session a week, especially before the big exams. I think there is actually an exam, one per week. There are 2 big exams, but there are kind of, I think, 3 to 4 smaller exams. So you really have to study for each of them. Obviously the smaller exams require less studying, but you still need to pay attention, and you still need to make sure you know the right answer, or at least know exactly which answer does not make any sense at all, because they are multiple choice questions. And know the procedures, because once you know the procedures and the order of things, you'll be able to choose the right answer. The thing about these questions is, even though they're multiple choice, they're not exactly easy. You can literally get a question wrong just by mixing up the order, just by mixing up a couple of words. A few words are changed. It might be insert instead of pull, or it might be pull instead of remove, or it might be yank instead of glide, or I don't know, it might just be a small change of words that kind of trips you up. Obviously what I've just said are really extreme words, but it really could be something very subtle that makes you get the wrong answer. So you just have to know the procedure well. Okay, so my 4th tip is to make sure you study not only for the big exams but for the daily test. So you will be having daily tests every single day, every morning when you arrive to the training course. If you are going in person, maybe they'll find a way to do that even online. You'll be having those daily tests from what you learned the previous day to recap. So I say just study every single evening, couple of hours, or 1 hour or so, and really try to retain the information so the next day you can pass that daily test. If you're able to pass the daily tests, very high chance you're going to be passing the exams themselves. Okay, so that's that. I remember I did pass the first daily test, but the other ones, the other daily tests, I did not pass all of them, but I still managed to pass every single exam first time. And you think you need over 90% for each exam, over 90 or over 95%, something like that, to get a pass. So yeah, I did say that passing the daily tests means you have a higher chance of passing the final test, but I did not pass every single daily test. I didn't, but I still passed the main test first time. I didn't have to repeat anything. So, you know, nothing I say is set in stone, but I feel like I'm just kind of giving you some good guidelines. Some people are naturally gifted when it comes to retaining this information, when it comes to exams, when it comes to studying, when it comes to all of this. Some people are just naturally gifted. They don't have to study. They don't have to do that. But you don't have to follow those people and do what they do because they have a natural gift to retain all this information. I just say keep studying and make sure you pass that, because it's just more stress having to take the exam a second time, really. So if you're that person with a natural gift, please don't be encouraging people not to study because you don't study. We all have different capabilities and ways of retaining information. So I say that your best bet is to just try and study and try to retain this information, and that kind of guarantees that you'll be okay when it comes to the exam. And of course, my 5th tip is to try and avoid failing the first exam. I guess this is not really a tip, this is just a point I'm making. Try to avoid failing the first exam because it's just a bit annoying and stressful. Like, you'll be surprised how emotional people get when they fail exams. Like, I was shocked. Like, I was like, people literally, whew. You'll be surprised how emotional people get when they fail these exams. I was just like, I'm glad that it's not me having to do that, getting stressed and huffing and puffing. I think try to avoid failing the first exam. Just do your absolute best. I remember when I first got to the training course, on the first day, within the first couple of days, we met cabin crew who were just kind of having their wings day, graduating, and I asked them, you know, what did you do? How did you find it? Do you have any tips? And they told me, well, as long as you study 3 hours a day, you'll be okay. I was like, okay. But guess what? I did study every single day, and that's the reason why I was okay. I did study every single day. Maybe not necessarily 3 whole hours, but you know, sometimes an hour, sometimes 2, sometimes less. Just depends. But I tried my best to study every day so that I could guarantee that I would not fail a single test. That was just my strategy, because especially when he was like 3 hours, really 3? I did not spend 3 hours every night, but I just put a little feel extra effort in every evening. That's it. Okay, so my 6th point is to break down the information in a way that helps you retain it better. So one of my strategies was to use acronyms. I use this for absolutely every single procedure, and it really worked for me. So an acronym is where you take the first letter of each word and use it as a trigger to remind you to remember a procedure. In music they have EGBDF, which is Every Good Boy Deserves Football, and Every Good Boy Deserves Football is a way to remember the lines on treble clef, and Good Boys Deserve Food Always is a way to remember the lines on the bass clef. Okay, so with all the drills I used to come up with these acronyms, and that would trigger my memory of the first line in a drill, and then I just know the rest of it, and I just kind of picture it in my head exactly what it is. So at the start of an exam I write down all the acronyms that I know, and then I go back to it to trigger my memory. That's literally how I did it. Now I'm not saying you have to do it this way. My tip is to have a way to break down this information, and I'm sure different people on my training course had their own way of remembering things, whether it was literally thinking, doing actions, and just doing that, triggering your memory in different ways. Mine was the acronyms. I just had my acronyms, made up funny words, and those acronyms would remind me of the drill, of each line in a drill. I hope that I can give you just a little bit of a boost of encouragement on how to study, and I hope that I've reinforced the importance of studying in order to pass the exams, and I really do wish you the best. I'm sure that you'll be fine, because you know, everybody on the course usually is trying to make it work for themselves, and so in that sense you are kind of working together, and some people can even be competitive, and you know, there's no harm in a little bit of healthy competition. For the most part, people do become good friends and encourage each other. One thing I noticed is, you know, when somebody failed the exam, we were all encouraging them, boosting their confidence up, making them feel like, hey, you got this, you can do this, next time you're gonna pass. Everybody who really wanted to pass, they passed. So, you know, it was fantastic when they gave us the good news, but do this for yourself and you won't go wrong. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, as well as turn your notifications on so you know exactly when I've uploaded a video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.